Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Den with D2 Destinations. We're out today. I had a couple thoughts on the Goldwing for you. If you're considering buying a Goldwing, or maybe you already have an older Goldwing and you're considering doing an upgrade, there are a couple things you need to take into consideration if you're gonna get into Goldwings for the first time, because you want the comfort, the speed, the great touring capabilities. You can start with a 1500. It all depends upon your budget when you're selecting a Goldwing. There are a lot of great bikes out there, but the 1500s were extremely comfortable, really reliable. Two things you need to be concerned about are the timing belts, and they had carburetors. So if you're mechanically inclined and you don't mind working on some of the older bikes, if you want to get a GL 1500, make sure that those belts were changed. Now, that's one of the least expensive ways to get into the Goldwing. There goes a bunch of Goldwing. And next up is the GL 1800, which started in 2001. And that's a great step up in power and performance over the 1500. The GL 1800 is very, very quick. It has not quite as much luggage space as the 1500. But with the GL 1800, you're getting a sportier chassis as well as fuel injection. And fuel injection is really important, and you don't have timing belts either on the GL 1800s. They're extremely reliable, and the first couple of years you want to check that out. They did have a recall on the frame welding. As long as that's been addressed by the factory and repaired, there are really no concerns there. My bike's an 02. It did have the recall, and it was performed, and it's just been flawless. So don't let that, deter you from the 2001 through the 2006. That's the earlier generation of the 1800. These are great bikes, but they did make some improvements in 06. In 2006, they upgraded the radiator and cooling fans, made them bigger, and they also increased the capacity of the alternator and ABS. So, and they also had an airbag, believe it or not, for the 2006 year. And then that ran the GL 1800 through 2010, where it was still built in Marysville, Ohio in the United States. Then in 2011, there was no Goldwing model year. It goes to a 2012, which they were refreshed with a two-tone fairing and a little better suspension, a little better electronics, and they were considered a little more stylish than the older 1800. So you want to check that out. And it all comes down to price. If you only have less than $5,000, you want to look at a GL 1500. If you have up to $7,000 or $8,000, you want to look at GL 1800. If you have over that, you want to look at the later GL 1800, which is from 06 on up through 17. Now, in 2012, they did have one more styling refresh on the Goldwing, and that also brought along better electronics, and that lasted up through 2017, when 2017 was the last model year of the bigger bike. Now 2018, they changed the entire motorcycle. It wasn't just an upgrade, it was a total redesign. And the 2018, when it first came out, it came out with smaller trunks and smaller bags. It was actually seen as a sportier model with much better handling than the previous generation GL 1800s. And then the new 2018s Plus, they came out also with the dual clutch transmission. That's a 7-speed dual clutch transmission where you don't have a clutch, and the programming just reads automatically what gear you should be in, and based on how fast you're going and the terrain and everything else, it's It's a great addition. Some people love the dual clutch transmission. Other people aren't quite as crazy about it. So they still offered a manual transmission with a 6-speed. So if you want to stay with the manual transmission on an 18 or newer, that is entirely possible. And then there came about the complaints of the baggage being just too small. So in 2021, they expanded the size of the trunk and the saddlebags, and the trunk will again once hold the 2 full-face helmets. Starting in 18 through the 20 model year, it did not support the full-face helmets, but in 21 they went to that bigger trunk, and sure enough, you're back up to the luggage capacity for 2 full-face helmets. Now, it all comes down to price. You know, if you have $25,000 to $30,000 to spend, that new 21 and up Goldwing, it is an incredible machine. You will not be disappointed with the performance of that bike. But if that's a little steep for you, and you still want the speed and the comfort of the newer design, you can go with a 2018, but keep in mind when it comes to resale, the 2018 versus a 2021 probably won't command as much just because of its smaller dimensions. Now, if you still want the comfort and luxury and speed of the bigger bike, I would suggest looking at the 2015s through 2017s. You can get some pretty good deals on those on the used market, of course, and they're extremely reliable. So there's a lot of choices out there. Once you've made the decision to get a Goldwing, that's where all the decisions begin, to make sure that you get the bike that's gonna suit your needs, and whether you're riding 2 up most of the time or not, that's a big factor. So take all that into consideration, and we'll see you next time on D2 Destinations. Please remember to like and subscribe.